Now, there was a time in WWE where you'd be told to save your best looking attires for the biggest matches of the year, which would probably end up being WrestleMania. However, in WWE, because the talented rosters are so deep and so vast, there's not a guarantee that you're actually going to make it to the show of shows. And as always, on the road to WrestleMania, we get a few little pay-per-views here and there to give us a speed bump or a little hiccup that might change the direction of what's happening. Elimination Chamber was that pay-per-view, and we had plenty of matches on there. Some of them just thrown together last minute, but all in all, enough places and enough spots on a card for people to dress to impress. And as you know, we are a bit of a sucker for a good attire or two. Not just myself, but of course, as always, Michael Hamflett will scour through the pay-per-view and write a lovely article about all of the attires and all of the hidden meanings behind them, and then he chucks it to me, and here I am, dressed to impress for your benefit, to just pick through them all and tell you some of the best ones that we found from Elimination Chamber. There are plenty this time round, a good 9 for you to get your teeth sunk into, so let's not waste any more time and let's dive right in to the huge closet that is WWE's roster and their lovely attires from Elimination Chamber. Number 9, Drew Gulak. Now, it's fair to say last night was a big night for the Philadelphia native Drew Gulak, who finally got to wrestle a match against Daniel Bryan, a man who's wanted to wrestle him since 2016 when he saw him in the Cruiserweight Classic. The Philadelphia stretcher put on a fantastic match against Daniel Bryan, a technical wrestling masterclass, one that you haven't watched yet. You should absolutely go and do so, but what good is it having a great match if you're not going to look great doing it? And Drew Gulak, it seems, got the message when it came to this, because he was wearing an attire that sported the colours of his favourite hockey team, the Philadelphia Flyers, as he was in the Wells Fargo Centre, their home stadium, no less. So you've got to think, this is a pretty good night for Drew Gulak. He might not have got the win, but I tell you what, Drew, you've won my little heart. And that's more important. Number 8, Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega has always been fantastic in her role as a heel manager alongside Andrade, and recently they've added Angel Garza to their ranks, and the trio have been running roughshod over Monday Night Raw ever since. And ever since this little trio have come together, Zelina Vega has started to incorporate the Spanish word, and I apologise to all of our Spanish fans out there, muñeca. She's wearing that on most of her attire these days, whether it's a t-shirt or, in the case of last night in Andrade's match against Humberto Carrillo, across her neck on a little choker. Now, using the company's translator, the internet, I should point out, Google Translate, we found out that muñeca is actually the word doll in Spanish, and it kind of fits into a little tweet that Vega put out, which could be something she's trying to push. She fired out a tweet recently about the trio, a picture of herself, Andrade, and Angel Garza, and called herself the doll, the angel, and of course the idol, referring to Andrade. El Idolo, as we used to call him. Not anymore though, he's just Andrade. Either way, a nice little reference. Number 7, Seth Rollins and Murphy. Now, there is nothing I like more in wrestling when it comes to attires than a tag team that wears matching gear. It's really not difficult. If you're gonna look the part, you put on matching gear and everyone buys into the tag team. It's simple. Now, as Simon Miller will tell you, there are plenty of ups and downs in this life, and Seth Rollins and Murphy are no exception. They won the Raw Tag Team Championships, then they lost them, and then they lost a rematch last night when trying to win them back. But they did win the Best Dressed Award on the night, despite, I should point out, the Street Profits looking rather delightful themselves. To solidify their closeness as a tag team, Murphy and Rollins now both wear matching gear, black set up with silver trim on the boots, and everything else looks absolutely fantastic. Love a bit of this, right up my street. But most importantly, as you'll see, Rollins has Monday Night Messiah down his leg, while Murphy has Disciple across his. It remains to be seen how quickly or how long it will be before Murphy becomes a Judas, but for the time being, this is lovely stuff. Number 6, Alistair Black. Now, Alistair Black got a big pay-per-view victory last night against AJ Styles at Elimination Chamber, albeit with a little bit of assistance. We'll get to that in just a second, but maybe his ring gear was suggesting that things haven't quite gone his way in recent weeks and months. You see, last night, Alistair Black, while he did get the win, he was strictly kind of a setup guy, because the big story here is AJ Styles and The Undertaker. Now, unless we see the Deadman and Alistair Black form a tag team and go up against the 3 members of the OC, we're probably going to be getting Taker versus Styles. So this kind of suggests to me that Alistair Black perhaps is starting to get used to life as being, and I'll just put my shoulder back in place there from all the reaching I've been doing, getting used to being second place when it comes to being on Monday Night Raw's roster, because let's be honest, wearing an all-silver get-up, it kind of suggests maybe he's feeling like the bridesmaid in everything that he's doing at the moment. Now, the Dutch Destroyer may be spending quite a little bit of time on the second place podium, but it shan't be long until those trunks turn gold, and if they do, you're going to be hearing about it from me. Number 5, Sami Zayn. Now, Cuban leader Fidel Castro was considered both a liberator and a bit of a dictator from what we can probably describe best as a controversial and divisive life of his. And it seems like Sami Zayn, aka apparently my dad, has perhaps been drawing from a similar well. And whether that is or isn't the case, it seems to be paying off for Sami Zayn, because last night he finally won his first main roster title at Elimination Chamber, winning the Intercontinental Championship after defeating Braun Strowman with the help of Nakamura and Cesaro. And doing all this while wearing a khaki jacket and khaki cap, well, I don't think that's a coincidence, do you? Either way, it may or may not be a Castro thing, but when you call yourself the Great Liberator, well, I think it's fair to say the similarities are definitely there. Either way, I don't care what the situation is. As long as Sami Zayn has got a belt on his waist and actually gets to wrestle some matches, consider me in. Number 4, AJ Styles. Now, when it comes to putting together these lists, there are certain wrestlers in WWE who make my life extremely easy. AJ Styles is one of these men. He's got more tights than Robin Hood and enough colour schemes that always look absolutely, yes, I'm going to say it, phenomenal. Now, he may be a heel in WWE as we speak, but anybody who was paying attention in the Wells Fargo Centre last night will have noticed the red and blue colour scheme of Styles' tights, which is obviously a nod to local baseball team, the Philadelphia Phillies. And surely someone out there, even whether they love Styles or not as a heel, was secretly smirking to themselves and had a pretty good time watching. Now, an unexpected appearance from the dead man might have caught Styles out last night in his match against Alistair Black, but if there's one thing we do know, that gear of AJ Styles was definitely a home run. Number 3, Shayna Baszler. Now, I do love me some NXT, and I do love it when the alumni of NXT wear the black and gold brand's colour scheme for any of their appearances on the main roster. Well, the Queen of Spades has been doing this for a while now, and it was no different last night at Elimination Chamber. And the former NXT Women's Champion, much like her appearance in this year's Royal Rumble, was absolutely dominant last night, completely decimated everybody in the Elimination Chamber, including Asuka. I should point out, she literally eliminated every other woman in her quest and the pursuit to get at Becky Lynch and take her Raw Women's Championship. Now, it's fair to say whether it was a tired crowd or just people who don't understand how good Shayna Baszler actually is, she wasn't exactly getting the reception she should have been when she eventually won the Elimination Chamber. But either way, the Queen is doing her best work and you should be paying attention. However, she wasn't the only person who was repping a bit of black and gold last night. Number 2, Becky Lynch. Now, before we go into any clothes or any attire that were being worn by Becky Lynch, I just want to give her a quick nod of approval for the fact that she just watches TV like a normal person. How many people in WWE do we not see doing this? Fair play to you, the man. Fair play to you. Now, along with being a bit of a mirror image for the Queen of Spades, who was in also a black and gold colour scheme, you will notice that Becky Lynch had across the arm of her leather jacket a bunch of gold circles, which were, of course, the title side plates for all of the women's victims she's taken on her way to the top, including the likes of Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey, and Asuka, to name a few. However, behind every great the man is a great the woman, I guess we'll say in this scenario. And while Becky Lynch deserves all of the props for making it look cool, we should point out that the big shout out here needs to go to her frequent gear collaborator, Kim, or as you'll know her on Twitter and Instagram, at KimberLastKick. You should be able to find that down here somewhere if I've done my job right. Kim is the one who helps design all of Becky Lynch's jackets. She paints all of the stuff you'll see on the leather jackets of Becky Lynch. She's been doing this for a good while now, and many of the cool leather jackets we've seen that belong to Becky Lynch over the last few years, they were down to her. Thank you, Kim. You make my life so much easier with your designs. But also, for anybody who likes WWE photographs or just cool live event photography, check out her pages too, because she does some amazing photography too. Just can't do enough, this woman. Kim, we appreciate you at WhatCulture. Thank you for existing. And number 1, with a bullet, The New Day. Now, much like AJ Styles, The New Day have featured on countless editions of this show, and honestly, they've got to be like the number 1 on most lists because of how much effort goes into their gear and their appearance. And last night, I have liked many of the New Day's gear, but I think last night's might be my absolute number 1 favourite. Now, a shout out must go to Jonathan Davenport, the gear designer and main event gear, who always produce the New Day's stuff. This was absolutely inspired. We are always seeing the New Day's gear full of vibrancy, full of colour. So what did they decide to do for this one? They took it all away, but with a twist. Big E and Kofi were sporting all white tights last night with black lines across the lot of them. Uncharacteristically quiet in the colour department, apart from anybody who's paying attention to a bunch of circles on the back end of the tights, which maybe made you think, what is this all about? And if you looked a little bit closer at the tights, as you can see on Jonathan Davenport's Instagram as he's posted, this is a clever little colour palette scheme for a paint by numbers, or as they're calling it, paint by numbers for the New Day's gear. I can't tell you how much I like this. It was absolutely lush. Now, as explained on Davenport's page, this actual gear was meant to originally debut at Survivor Series, but for whatever reason, they couldn't make it happen, so it has come back full circle, and here it is. But those little circles of colour that I mentioned earlier are indeed paint by numbers. So you could take the colour scheme, if you put them in where the numbers are on the tights, the colour scheme of the tights will become clear, and honest to God, that is some of the greatest stuff I have ever seen in my life. Jonathan Davenport, you sir, are a star. And let me just say as well, we had a little bit of a request for this one. Jonathan's dad is actually currently in hospital recovering as we speak. And we know you're a frequent watcher with your son, so we'd like to say thank you for watching, thank him for being absolutely fantastic at what he does, and we all here at WhatCulture wish you a speedy recovery, sir. So there you have it, those are all of the hidden meanings behind WWE Elimination Chamber 2020 attires that you need to know that we have found. However, as always, there's too bloody many of them on that show, and we can't squeeze them all into the list that we've done because there's only so many hours in the day. I've got other stuff I need to do, but you, on the other hand, can let me know all of the ones we missed in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and share, hit the old subscribe button if you haven't already. You can find the original article for this at whatculture.com/WWE. That's by Michael Hamflett. As always, a bloody good read. If you want to follow WhatCulture on Twitter, you can at WhatCultureWWE. If you want to follow me on Twitter, if that's your sort of thing, then please do at It's Adam Nicholas. Or if you would just like this little stupid man who resembles Sami Zayn a little bit to shut up and let you watch some more videos, then guess what? Today is your lucky day because there should be some just over here. Anyway, I've been Adam Nicholas, this has been WhatCulture.com, and I will probably see you soon. Probably. I will. Will I?